For a good chunk of my life, I've been waiting for exactly two types of story-driven RPG. A first-person shooter with good movement and gunplay, and a character action game with depth and style. I'm still waiting on the latter, but CD Projekt has delivered the former. If years of Bethesda RPGs taught me anything, you can't have great FPS combat and deep and meaningful RPG gameplay. It just doesn't happen. But Cyberpunk 2077 has blown that concept out of the water. The way the movement, the combat, and the buildcraft all speak to each other is exactly what I've been asking for years. It's the rare FPS making me genuinely excited to dive into my skill tree because the perks aren't just impactful, they're insane. And the power you gain through progression is just so right for the setting of Cyberpunk. As you level up and improve, your cyberware, your gear, your character really feels like they're pushing the boundaries of humanity. You start out somewhat slow and methodical, but regardless of your build, you'll be tearing through rooms in no time. And enemies can finally push back. They've got their own arsenal of quick hacks, they'll dodge your attacks, and really put their cyberware to work, keeping you on your toes even as you become nearly unkillable. If you're anything like me, and you've been dreaming of a game with effective storytelling, quality world building, memorable characters, diverse weapons with worthwhile build crafting, a loot that truly nails its movement and gunplay, guess what? It's finally real! And I don't know if I can truly convey how important that simple fact is if you're not like me and haven't been vaguely dissatisfied for years. Because as brilliant as the journey and overall experiences can be in franchises like Fallout, to me the shortcomings in combat in comparison to games where that's a bit more of a focus are impossible to ignore. And now that 2.0 has arrived, I genuinely can't think of another RPG FPS that comes even close to the freedom, variety, and quality Cyberpunk is flexing right now. That being said though, let me calm down and walk things back a bit. Cyberpunk 2077 has been called everything from industry-defining to industry disaster in the 11 years since it was first announced, and that backlash was well-deserved. It's still easily one of the most embarrassing AAA launches in history. I certainly can't think of many others that have led to the game being pulled from storefronts, class action lawsuits. This kind of thing really doesn't happen too often. But with Update 2.0, redemption is finally on the horizon, and I think this game is about to take a lot of people by surprise. The devs clearly prioritized addressing feedback. We already talked about how fire combat is, but cars also look, feel, and sound much better. You also no longer need to take notes on which vendor has that Sandevis stand you've been saving up for, and loot in general finally feels like treasure instead of trash. There is an enormous list of changes, but realistically speaking, it's not quite a ground-up redesign. To an extent, this patch can feel like an extra coat of paint, highlighting some of the good and smoothing over some of the bad, while leaving the canvas itself largely untouched.
Okay, where were we?
The game's many issues with pacing, immersion, heck, even a lot of the bugs are still here, but so is everything that made the game good from day one. Some of Cyberpunk's best elements in its world building, its characters, and incredible cityscape are more breathtaking than ever. So while we're going to discuss the past, I don't want to necessarily focus on all the things Cyberpunk isn't, all the things it's failed to be. I want to talk about what Cyberpunk actually is, where it excels, why it's a really special kind of RPG, and in some respects always has been. Starting with the movement, because, of course, if I want a true movement shooter, right now I'm defaulting to something like Deadly, or Turbo Overkill, but it's about the ecosystem around the movement when it comes to Cyberpunk. It's about how the open world is structured so climbing, looking for hidden entrances, or stealthier options, it's heavily encouraged. It's the fact that so many pieces of cyberware have functionality that demands and empowers constant movement. And it's about the level of care put into ensuring that throughout the skill tree, the way you're moving through this world is taken into account and given as much weight as anything else. It's not about whether or not your game has an air dash or if you're jumping around like Mario, it's about how effectively those systems work with the rest of the game and the alternative playstyles they enable. And that's why, even though it's certainly no real movement shooter, just a fun RPG that comes shockingly close occasionally, that's enough. But Cyberpunk has something that virtually none of the games in this space do. An unreasonably large environment to explore with an insane amount of stuff to find, and a story that's way more than just window dressing. You see, I love the art of storytelling. I grew up surrounded by books, and so as much as I love the brutal simplicity of Doom, sometimes I just want a little bit more going on in the narrative department, you know? And while Cyberpunk's story is far from a 10 on 10, I'd say it's more than enough considering it also shares that narrative weight with dozens of side quests and with Night City itself. I've actually been in love with Cyberpunk as a niche and dystopian fiction as a whole for the longest time, and Night City just bleeds the kind of personality I'd hope to see from this setting. Through its architecture, its advertisements, its people, the casual cruelty, the corporate excess, the grunge, the quiet existential horror of putting a price tag on life. Night City bathes in the classic motifs, the neon-drenched warning signs of what the world could become if we let it, and does so brilliantly. You can really feel how much the team at CD Projekt understands this genre, and crucially how much they listen to input and feedback from one of the masters of it. Easy examples of this are everywhere. Look no further than the ads. I mean, hell, you almost can't look anywhere but the ads. They're inescapable. Eerily similar to what companies toss in front of us today, just dialed up to 11 and with a refreshing degree of blunt honesty while reaching for your wallet. But as much as I love the city itself, the story was a bit of a letdown. As much as the game gestures in the direction of many of the themes I love in its set dressing, it almost never fully commits to any of them in the plot itself, focusing more on the aesthetic of the genre than the spirit of it. But, you know, I can't really blame CD Projekt for being a bit gun-shy. As much as I wish this weren't the case, Cyberpunk isn't really a popular genre in the grand scheme of things, and whether it's this game or a show like Altered Carbon, they are surface-level stories, but probably an okay introduction to Cyberpunk as a concept, so it is what it is. And while it's really not a great story, it is a good one, and sometimes it's better to tell a decent story well than tell a phenomenal story poorly. And to be honest, I'd love to talk about how Phantom Liberty is a clear evolution in that department, but unfortunately there's a giant glitchy elephant in the room making that difficult.
The game is fixed.
Fun double entendre, sure. Unfortunately, also super not true for a lot of people. Okay, going off script for a sec, just bullet points, cause I'm gonna be real, I'm tired, and you're gonna understand exactly why in just a moment. A big part of the reason this video has taken as long as it has is the game has gotten significantly less stable for me as soon as I installed patch 2.0, and even more so after I installed Phantom Liberty. I revisited 1.6 like relatively recently actually, and you know, it was fine, so I expected more of the same to be honest. Please understand, I know it can be popular to hate on things sometimes, but personally I don't like being annoyed about the art I enjoy, you know? I'd rather just not talk about it at all, and I wouldn't be if Cyberpunk wasn't so fun or if it wasn't so broken. I didn't go into this looking for bugs, and honestly, if it weren't for the game breakers and the crashes, I wouldn't mind. Visual bugs have never been the biggest deal for me as long as they aren't constant or actively interfering with gameplay, and I think we can all see and understand how much this game is really pushing the power of the PS5. Like, for real, look at these, like, reflections, this lighting. I can absolutely forgive a few hiccups. Hell, I mean, more than a few hiccups. I was fine with a few crashes until things just, I mean, they hit this point where it just became unmanageable. Well, anyway, like, aside from those two clips at the very beginning, every single bug you're seeing in this video is from my footage from patch 2.0. I mean, heck, note to self, put this on screen. Here is a bug that I hit mere hours after installing the patch for the patch 2.01. Or you know what my favorite bug is? There's this one thing that happens where like sometimes I'll launch the game and it'll just freeze up. Then I've got to rev it back up like a broken down car and just like keep closing and reopening the game until the engine catches and it finally works again. Or there's this bug that I thought was just like my TV acting up, but no, I have no idea what this was. It's kind of freaky to be honest. I am really enjoying Cyberpunk, but I think I'll put it down soon and wait for the next patch, cause I just can't keep fighting with it anymore. I've lost too much time, too much footage to crashes, and I'm honestly just kind of exhausted. If you're on console and haven't bought Phantom Liberty, like maybe just stay away for now. You really don't need Phantom Liberty. Even if I wasn't having these problems, everything I personally consider crucial, everything that I'm having the most fun with, like all my knives stuff and like, you know, the movement, that's all in just the free update. You don't need Phantom Liberty. And look, I know a lot of reviewers have been saying that, like, unlike the last time they did the exact same thing, like, CD Projekt had nothing to hide when they told everyone last minute they couldn't share their own footage. But as someone who likes this game and has liked it for years, I just don't know that that's true after experiencing all this. I fully believe that Skill Up and all of the many other reviewers saying similar things were acting in good faith, simply sharing their own experiences. I'm not calling anyone out here, as I mean, aside from the people who have been treating the source material as a handbook on business practices for years, but you know, anyway, due to the transitory nature of bugs, I think it's kind of silly to assume anyone is going to run into the same ones I do. I mean, if they run into any at all, really. I haven't encountered all of the ones I've seen from other people since 2.0 dropped, but I think we are seeing how the nature of our review culture is kind of making it really easy for companies to obfuscate like this if they choose to. I can't prove intent, I'm not going to allege intent, but it's outcomes that matter with situations like this, and I think a lot of people can understand why CD Projekt might be incentivized to ensure we didn't see any buggy footage before sales started to roll in, just like last time. CDPR did not have to demand reviewers exclusively use provided footage instead of their own. It would have been very easy for them to, you know, do nothing. By my understanding, an ARGA was already in place, and as part of those, requesting specific sections aren't included for spoilers is totally normal. This is not normal, and by requesting this, they potentially derailed a lot of coverage for their game. Ask yourself why someone would do that. Then consider Occam's razor, and the fact that I have personally experienced more crashes and severe game-breaking bugs inside of 24 hours with this game than my PS5 has seen in its lifetime. And like, I'm not over here telling you, get the pitchforks out, so let's all go be angry at CDPR, but like, I think we all know gamers have long memories when we want to, so maybe just add this to your bank and keep it in mind next time CD Projekt shows you a trailer, or talks to you about their work, or gives someone footage to promote their game. I do want to reiterate that I love where the game is at right now in so many ways. I really genuinely wish I hadn't encountered these problems so we could all just be sitting here celebrating a good game, and I could swap this section for this whole bit I had about character writing and Neuromancer and Hemingway, but this is all just really ruining my fun in a big way. And so as soon as this video is done, so am I for a while. With Cyberpunk, not videos. You'll probably actually get the next one sooner than later, because I need a palate cleanser, to be honest. I already know which game I'm talking about next, and coincidentally, it's one that just works, and I don't have to worry about corrupted footage, and I kinda just really need that in my life right now. Well, anyway, with all that said, Cyberpunk is definitely doing a lot for me that no game has delivered before, and I can't see any other game delivering in the same way for quite some time. I just really hope CD Projekt understands what they have here. I hope they plan to treat Night City and all of the characters in it like Yakuza treats Kamurocho, because there's too much good here to throw away, and so much that they promised they never delivered. This is a brilliant foundation, and I really hope they build on it. Honestly, I am just so sick and tired of sequels that don't. So, thank you all so much for watching, and really a million thanks to everyone who has subscribed. I'm wildly grateful for all of the love and support, especially as new to this as I am. I'd love to make more of these more often, and you know, I won't give you the spiel. It's 2023. I think you all know what to do if you want to see that happen. Anyway, thanks again. Stay tuned, and if you love running around with knives as much as I do, let me know down below, and let's talk about why it's fun. Okay, last thing, I swear, not every video is gonna have one of these, but like, you heard Idris put some of his own music in this game, right? I was sitting here wondering if this was, I don't know, another DJ Diesel situation. Like, where that's not bad necessarily, but I don't know if anyone is grabbing the aux to blast Diesel right now, or maybe they do, I don't know, I could be out of the loop, I'm not cool socialite guy. But anyway, I was wondering which songs were actually Idris's. Then my friend told me, and oh my god, you see, in Phantom Liberty, there's this one side mission that just goes unreasonably hard out of nowhere. I immediately hit that record last 5-minute button because I was like, what was that? And anyway, she told me it was that beat that dropped, and I was like, that was Idris? I won't waste your time. I'm just gonna let a very brief part of this play because I'm not even kidding. It's one of my favorite moments in the entire DLC.
Buckle up, Pop. Time to remind these bastards to charge.
Boss man got hit. Thinking to myself, this how we die. He was a machine, like precise.
Idris, why are you not doing more of this? What the fuck?